Hello everyone, this is Rick. Welcome to another episode of the Mauryan Empire series. And today we are going to discuss about the sculpture and architecture of the Mauryan period. Now Mauryan period is significant for many things because it was the first empire in the Indian subcontinent, but one of the most significant and important contribution of Mauryan Empire to the whole of Indian history is its art and architecture. So we will discuss about each and every aspect of Mauryan art. And therefore, without doing any delay, let's get into detail. Stone art in the Indian subcontinent. Was there any kind of stone art before the Mauryan period? Discovery at Dholavira shows early monumental stone sculpture linking back to Harappan civilization. So, Dholavira is a site in the Kutch region of Gujarat, which is from the Indus Valley times, and there we get an evidence of monumental stone structure. After that, after the decline of Harappan era, a long gap exists until Mauryan period when complex stone and architecture scenes emerge. So after the Harappan period, we get a long gap for more than 1,500 years, and then we get further existence of complex stone and structure and architecture during the Mauryan period. The Mauryan period linked to increased political complexity and concentration of wealth. So, the Mauryan period is linked with very much complex political structure and concentration of wealth. Art from this era intertwined with political ideology and religious practices. So, art has a very much intimate relationship with the contemporary religious factors and also political ideologies. Artistic patronage is evident under Mauryan kings, notably Ashok. So the Mauryan kings patronized different kind of art forms. Now, types of art. What were the types of art which were prevalent in the Mauryan period? Mauryan art includes court art linked directly to royalty and popular art connected to general populace. So, there were broadly two diverse categories of art. One is court art, which can be linked directly to the royalty or royal family, and the popular art was for the general population. Patronage by Mauryan kings like Ashok often reflects the architectural and sculptural works. So, different Mauryan kings, notably Emperor Ashok, uh, patronized different kinds of Mauryan art while he was in power. S. Setter is a notable historian, highlights the temporary and short-lived nature of some Mauryan art. So, according to Setter, there some forms of Mauryan art was not very much in longevity, hence it was very short lived in nature. Historian mentions an artisan named Chapada inscribed in Ashokan edict. So we get name of one artisan whose name is Chapada, and in many of the Ashokan edicts his name has been mentioned as the inscriber. This is very significant and comes in many of the competitive exams, that one of the artisan whose name we get from the Mauryan period is Chapada. Blend of art forms ranging from stone sculptures to terracotta figurines and disc stones. So there were many kinds of art forms during the Mauryan period, and we get diverse types of art during this time. Now, usage of wood. Not only did stone architecture came into being during the Mauryan times, wooden fortifications was also very much prevalent. D.B. Spooner's systematic excavations at Bulandibag in Patna detailed fortifications with parallel wooden walls and tunnel-like gaps. So there were parallel wooden walls in the site of Bulandibag, which is in Patna and corresponds to the ancient site of Patliputra. And within those walls, there were tunnel like gaps. You can see on the image on the in the left hand side. Measurements was that walls of 38 to 55 centimeters separated by a 3.7-meter gap with wooden uprights resting on conker base. Conker means small stones, a base made up of small loose stones. So these were the dimensions of walls and the gaps in between them. Monoranjan Ghosh's excavations added data on the gateway structures measuring 40 feet in length. So there was a gateway which was supposed to be the entrance towards the city of Patliputra, and the length of the gateway was 40 feet. Other significant findings at Gaisin, Kanda, Rampur, and Bahadurpur include remains of a large wooden jetty. So, Bahadurpur is a site which is significant for the remains of a large wooden jetty, which was most probably on the banks of Son River, which is a tributary of Ganga. These excavations provide sight into wooden architecture of the Mauryan period. Now, pillars. There were wooden pillars found, or stone pillars also found in the site of Kumrahar, which is very close to Bulandibag. Waddell discovered 72 pillars at Kumrahar in Patna, arranged in a row, revealing insights into the structural design. So, Waddell discovered rows of 72 pillars which are arranged specifically in order to denote that there was a structural feature present in the site. Pillars quarried from Chunar, detailed measurements and features discussed. So, Waddell has also discussed that these pillars have been quarried. The stones which were used for making of these pillars were from Chunar, and their detailed measurements are discussed. Notable features include thinner, shorter designs with holes for metal dowels connecting to a capital. So there were holes in the pillars for metal dowels which probably connected it to the capital which was on top of the pillar. Similarity between the structure of Mauryan pillared hall and Darius hall of public audience at Persepolis. So there are lot of similarities found between the Mauryan pillared hall in Kumrahar and Darius hall in Persepolis, which is in Central Asia. The wooden roof and mason's mark offer clues to construction practices. So there was an existence of a wooden roof above these pillars, and also we get existence of mason's marks, which masons means who made those pillars. Their marks are there in the pillars which offer clues to different kinds of construction practices prevalent during the times. Symbolism of pillars. What were the ideology behind making these pillars, and what kind of symbols were they? Pillars serve as axis mundi, embodying Ashoka's edicts, with notable ones at Rumendei and Nigali Sagar. So these are famous sites where we get Ashokan pillars with edicts of Ashok, means inscriptions of Ashok are inscribed in the walls of those pillars, and they serve as axis mundi, means axis of the world. Instances of pillars without inscriptions have also been found, including the Ramapurva bull and Vaishali lion capital. So in Ramapurva we get existence of a pillar which has a bull capital, and in Vaishali there is a lion capital in above the pillars. Kosam pillar is noted for lacking a capital, indicating a different stylistic choice. So a pillar in the site of Kosam do not have any capital, and so from these diverse cultural practices we get differences in stylistic choices. Various capitals show differing animal representations, tying back to religious and political symbolism. So there are different kind of animal representations in different kind of capitals, and they tie those pillars, they symbolize those pillars according to different religious and political concepts. These pillars underscores the blend of aesthetics and messaging in Mauryan architecture. Now, pillar elements. What were the elements in the pillars? Common architectural features are base, tapered shaft, cylindrical bolt joints, and bell shaped capitals. So, these are the common architectural features in a Mauryan pillar or Ashokan pillar. The abacus atop pillars typically supports animal motifs showcasing the artistry. The abacus is a structure which supports the animal motifs. On the above of abacus, we get existence of animal motifs. The detailed depiction of crowning animals reflecting both artistic flair and symbolic meaning. So the depiction of crowning animal in the capital reflect both the flair of the artist and also it has symbolic meanings. The integration of various elements into a harmonious structural form. So various elements, as you can see from the image in left hand side, are integrated together to form a very harmonious uh, structural form. Each component from base to capital crafted to convey specific cultural or religious messages. So each structure, each element in the pillar conveys some kind of cultural or religious message. Motifs in pillars. Now different pillars in different sites have different kind of motifs. Location of notable motifs are lion capital at Sanchi and Sarnath, bull capital at Ramapurva. Elephant capital is found at Sankissa, indicates the diverse symbolic use of animal figures. So lion, bull, elephant, every major animals which have a religious significance are used in pillars as capitals. Spoked wheel motif prevalent, symbolizing the dharma chakra, means glory to righteousness, and that righteousness has been depicted with the help of a spoked wheel in many of the Ashokan pillars and Ashokan sculptures. These motifs not only decorate but also signify religious and historical narratives. So, these motifs are not only for decoration but they signify religious and historical narratives. Many historical stories are connected with these pillars. Integration of diverse artistic symbols across different pillars reflect a rich cultural synthesis. So we find diversification in the artistic features of pillars in different sites across the whole of Indian subcontinent. Now, Dhamma message from the motives. What is Dhamma? Is the path of righteousness. And that, if you want to know more about Ashokan Dhamma, please follow my video on Ashokan Dhamma. Lotus symbol at the capital represents purity and cosmic order. So the lotus symbol at the capital is has an association with Buddhism and it reflects purity in the cosmic order. Dharma chakra motif symbolizes the spread of Buddha's teachings. Dharma chakra is the spoked wheel and that symbolizes the propagation of teachings of Lord Buddha. Lion capital represents power and sovereignty, significant in both Buddhist and Hindu traditions. So the lion capital is very much significant because it denotes power and it denotes sovereignty, means supreme authority, and it is very much significant in both Buddhist and Hindu religion. The white elephant and bull motifs are linked to historical and spiritual legends. So there is a legend in Buddhism that before giving the birth to Lord Buddha, his mother had a dream regarding a white elephant. So those legends are depicted in the form of white elephant and bull motifs. Lakshmi motif reflects prosperity and auspiciousness. So Gajalakshmi is another motif that indicates or reflects prosperity in the kingdom. Now, foreign influence. These pillars had some kind of foreign influences in them. Not only pillars, but Mauryan art and architecture in general was influenced by foreign cultures. Ashokan proclamations reflect Achaemenid influences, specifically through Darius inscriptions. So, the spreading of emperor's messages through pillars and proclamations in them are a feature of Achaemenid Empire, and Ashok seems to have been influenced by that policy. Persian influence is evident in the art and architecture of Mauryan period. The pillars mainly have a lot of Persian influences in them. The Kharoshthi script and Gandhar art styles emerged as a result of interactions between India and the West. So, Kharoshthi script is a script that developed in the northwestern part of India, and it has some influences of the cultures of Central Asia. Gandhar is the province of Mauryan Empire, which is in the northwestern part of Indian subcontinent, and Gandhar has been in continuous touch with the empires of Central Asia, and thus it emerged as an interaction between India and West Asia. Kumaraswamy discussed the cultural and artistic exchanges during this period. So Kumaraswamy's writings is a research documented on the cultural and artistic exchanges during the Mauryan times. These foreign elements integrated into local traditions, enhancing the richness of Mauryan art. These are foreign elements which were very much incorporated into local traditions, and so the Mauryan art also has foreign influences in it. Now, differences from Persian pillars. Even though there was some kind of influences, it cannot be said that Mauryans copied Persian art or Central Asian art. Nihar Ranjan Ray notes differences between Mauryan and Persian pillars, particularly in their capitals. On the left hand side, you can see depictions, drawings of Persian pillars along with Mauryan pillars. And so if you see the capital, there were major differences. Mauryan pillars typically have simpler, smoother designs with fewer ornate elements compared to the elaborate Persian versions. So Mauryan pillars were very much simple in design, they were smoother, and they had less of ornamentation compared to that of its Persian counterpart. Mauryan pillars feature an inverted lotus at the top, contrasting with more elaborate Persian column capitals. You get an existence of inverted lotus on the top of Mauryan pillars, which is not found on the Persian pillars. Persian pillars often include animal figures seated back to back. This motif is absent in Mauryan design. So, two animals sitting back to back is not found in the Mauryan pillars. Here we get existence of four lions who are on the four cardinal directions. The overall aesthetic of Mauryan pillars leans towards a more streamlined and functional form devoid of Persian luxuriance. So Mauryan pillars were much more simpler in design, whereas Persian pillars had luxury designs. Complexities in the influence. What were the complexities in the field of influence? that Mauryan art received from the Central Asian art. Artistic styles in Mauryan period are a complex blend of native and foreign influences reflecting broader geopolitical interactions. So Mauryan art is basically a blend of native and foreign influences, and thus we get an understanding that Mauryan period was very much open to geopolitical interactions of the contemporary period. The use of Aramaic script and Kharoshthi results from Persian influence and Northwestern connections. So, Aramaic script and Kharoshthi scripts were uh, used by Emperor Ashok to propagate his Dhamma messages, and from there we can understand that there was a Persian influence in the northwestern part of Mauryan Empire. Detailed comparisons of Mauryan and Persian pillars reveal nuanced interpretations of power and aesthetics. So there was some kind of influence, but also the native and foreign influences worked together in producing beautiful Mauryan arts. The influence of Greek and Persian art is evident, but adapted to fit the Indian context, emphasizing syncretism. So there was definitely influence of Greek and Persian art in Mauryan artistic styles, but it was changed and adapted to fit the cultural context of Indian subcontinent. The transition from wood to stone in Mauryan architecture showcases significant technological and artistic advances. So thus we get to see point of differences along with evidences of influence between Mauryan art and art of Central Asia. Other sculptures. What were the other sculptures found during the Mauryan times? Monolithic railing at Sarnath, traditionally attributed to Maurya period, featuring carved decoration. So there is a monolithic railing. Monolithic means a railing made out of a single stone block is found in Sarnath, and that is attributed to Maurya period. There we get different types of carved decorations. Vajrasana at Bodh Gaya, identified as throne of meditation where Buddha supposedly attained enlightenment. So in Bodh Gaya is the place where Buddha is supposed to have got enlightened, and there we get the Vajrasana sculpture of Buddha, which can be attributed to the Mauryan period. On the left hand side, you can see that picture of Bodh Gaya. Measurements of railing and Vajrasana indicate significant scale and detail in Mauryan stone work. So, railing from Sarnath and Vajrasana sculpture from Bodh Gaya indicate that there was very much detailing features in the Mauryan stone work. Designs on railing include hamsas in a style similar to Ashokan pillar carvings, symbolizing artistic continuity. So there was artistic continuity in the sculptures of Mauryan period, and that can be seen from the Hamsas design, which was followed everywhere, almost everywhere, consistently throughout the Mauryan Empire. The use of Chunar sandstone for these sculptures underscores the importance of material in Mauryan architecture. So, most of the sandstones which were used for carving sculptures during the Mauryan period were quarried from the site of Chunar. Dhauli elephant. Dhauli elephant is one of the most beautiful sculptures during the Mauryan period. Located in Dhauli, Bhubaneswar district, it features a rock sculpture of an elephant. So this is located in Bhubaneswar, Orissa, and it features a rock sculpture of an elephant. This sculpture portrays the elephant in a dynamic pose indicating motion and emotion. So it seems like an elephant is coming out of the stone block, and thus the sculpture portrays a very dynamic pose. It is considered a powerful representation of the animal, reflecting the Mauryan mastery in stone carving. So this is a powerful representation of a very beautiful and powerful animal, and that reflects the technological advancement of Mauryan artisans in stone carving. The overall effect of the sculpture is naturalistic, focusing on realism over stylization. So, stylization was not the main feature of this sculpture. The main focus was realistic depiction of an elephant. The positioning and execution suggest that it was intended to be viewed from below, enhancing its imposing nature. Now, cave architecture. Cave architecture started from the time of Mauryan period, and on the later part of Indian history, we get wonderful cave architectures in the sites of Ajanta, Ellora, and others. But it all started from the Mauryan period. Barabar and Nagarjuni hills feature caves with inscriptions attributed to Ashok and his son Dasarath. So these are two famous hills which have well rock cut architecture in by making caves, and those caves have inscriptions of Ashok and his son Dasarath. Lomas Rishi cave is known for its polished interiors and detailed architectural elements, including a carved doorway. So, in the Lomas Rishi cave, there was a very much advancement in the field of stone architecture, and that can be seen from the polished interiors and carved doorway in the Lomas Rishi cave. You can see it on the left hand side. The caves at these sites were used for ascetic practices, and possibly early Buddhist monastic life. So these caves were probably reserved for the Buddhist monks, where they used these places for their ascetic divine practices. Features include lattice work design and makara decorations, blending artistic flair with spiritual functions. So here we get lattice work design and makara decorations. Makara means decorations which put out the motif of a crocodile, and thus we get a blending of artistic flair with spiritual functions. The cave's architecture reflects an adaptation of Persian and Northwest Indian influences into Buddhist context. Now, stupa architecture. The Mauryan period is very much significant for building proper kind of stupas. Stupas originally served as funerary mounds but evolved into symbols of Buddhist ideology. So, in the beginning of Buddhism, stupas served as funerary mounds, but later on they evolved as some symbol of Buddhist ideology. The Mahaparinirvana Sutta mentions stupas built over cremation sites, highlighting their sacred significance. So, from the Mahaparinirvana Sutra, a text in Buddhism, we come to understand that stupas were built on cremation sites of great Buddhist monks. Early stupas at Piprawa and Vaishali were simple mud structures, later encased in brick and stone. So, in the beginning, we get existence of stupas at the site of Piprawa and Vaishali. These are sites where stupas were made out of mud, and later on, during the time of Ashok, or maybe later, they were encased in brick and stone. So, in the beginning, stupas were made using mud. These stupas became focal points for pilgrimage, evolving into complex religious monuments. So, these stupas became pilgrimage sites where Buddhist monks and followers of Buddhism came and offered their prayers. The architectural evolution of stupas signifies a shift from basic burial mounds to elaborate communal and ceremonial sites. Now, Ashok's role in stupa architecture. The Emperor Ashok played a very much significant role, which led to the evolution of stupa as we see it today. Ashok significantly influenced the development and proliferation of stupa architecture across his empire. He is associated with the construction and enlargement of stupas at sites like Sarnath and Amravati. So, at different important sites like Sarnath and Amravati, there were stupas, but probably they were made out of mud. So, Ashok, when he became emperor, he enlarged those stupas and put many architectural advancement features in it. The inscriptions at these sites link back to Ashok and suggest his direct patronage in their expansion. So, there the inscriptions in Sanchi Amravati say that these stupas were built through the patronage of Ashok. Hence, Ashok sponsored the building of these stupas, and thus we can understand how much help or how much role Ashoka played in the building of stupa architecture. The Dharmarajika stupa at Taxila and Dhamek stupa at Sarnath are key examples of Ashok's contribution. So these stupas in Taxila and Sarnath were also built by Emperor Ashok. His role in popularizing the stupa cult extends to distributing relics and enhancing the stupa as a monument of Buddhism. On the left hand side, you can see a reconstructed structure of the Amravati stupa. It was beautifully reconstructed by Archaeological Survey of India. This Sanchi Stupa is one of the most important Indian heritage site which is significant not only in India but in the entire world. And how was it built? Why is it significant? Located on the outskirts of ancient Vidisha, Sanchi Stupa number 1 is a major Buddhist monument. So this is one of the most sacred sites of Buddhism in the whole world. This stupa has a diameter of 60 feet, featuring a dome less than a full hemisphere. So, this is a dome shaped structure and it has a diameter of 60 feet. It was originally surrounded by a wooden fence indicative of early construction techniques. The Sanchi stup that we see today was not completely constructed by Ashok. Later on, many rulers developed it according to their own choices. So, during the time of Ashok, it was supported by a wooden fence. Later on, we see that the wooden fence was reconstructed with the help of stone. By the 2nd century BC, it was encased in stone, reflecting the evolving architectural styles. So later on, it was modified by encasing it in stone, and thus we get to see evolution in the architectural styles. The site's association with Ashok, marked by an inscription and its historical significance as a Buddhist pilgrimage site. Now, yakshas and yakshis, these are stone sculptures found during the Mauryan times. What were they? The stone sculptures at sites like Patna and Mathura depict yakshas and yakshis or yakshinis, indicating their cultural and religious importance. So, yakshas and yakshinis are found in the sites of Patna and Mathura and many other sites also, and thus we get to know their importance in the culture of Indian subcontinent. Often found in polished surfaces, these sculptures are believed to have been worshipped as a part of popular religious practices. So the people in those times used to practice worshipping them as gods or goddesses. Therefore, these sculptures have very much significance in the contemporary religion. Stylistic assessments suggest a Mauryan period dating, though some pieces may be from the early centuries CE. Most of the yakshas and yakshinis sculptures found have their origin during the Mauryan period, and some of them also originated in the early Christian centuries. The Parkham Yaksha is specifically noted for its Maurya Brahmi inscriptions confirming its period. So the Parkham Yaksha can be dated to the Mauryan period from the Mauryan inscription found in it. These figures represent a blend of spirituality and aesthetic artistry significant in ancient Indian iconography. Now, other stone sculptures. What were the other stone sculptures that can be attributed to the Mauryan period? The torso of a nude male from Lohanipur, Patna is carved from Chuna sandstone with polished finish. So, this is a body part of a male figure and that has been found in Lohanipur. The stylization and the kind of sandstone used from Chunar indicate that this was from Mauryan period. Similarities in style and refinement between this and other Mauryan sculptures suggest a common artistic period. So the this Lohanipur male figure can be dated to the Mauryan period basing on the similarities in style and refinement between this sculpture and other sculptures which has already been dated with the Mauryan period. The Didarganj Yakshi, known for its polished surface and detailed ornamentation, highlights the sophistication of Mauryan craftsmanship. On the left hand side, you can see a picture of Didarganj Yakshini, and it is very much detailed, polished with proper ornamentation, and thus we get to understand the sophistication of Mauryan artistic features. The headless male sculpture from Patna displays similar artistic trait indicating a widespread sculptural tradition. So from the Patna we get another headless male sculpture which can be attributed to the Mauryan period. The Susan Huntington was a historian who points to these sculptures as representations of human figure with significant cultural and historical insights. Now, ring stones. Ring stones are unique features of the Mauryan period. Ring stones and disc stones dated to 3rd and 2nd century BC are found at various sites in northern India, including Patna, Mathura, and Delhi. So, these are the sites where ring stones dated to 2nd and 3rd century BC have been found. These stones are typically 5 to 6 centimeter in diameter, hence they are very small, the size of your palm, and feature carvings of animals, deities, and geometric patterns. They feature different kinds of carvings of animals, sometimes deities, and sometimes they simply contain different kind of geometric patterns. Iconography includes lion, deer, birds, and makaras, suggesting their use in religious or ritualistic context. So we it is not clear what was their purpose, but the iconography like lions, deer, birds, and makaras indicate that there must have been some kind of religious use of these ring stones. Found within two or more concentric circles, these designs may have served both decorative and symbolic purposes. So their designs may have some kind of decorative implications and also some kind of symbolic purposes. The variety in motifs and designs reflects the diversity in religious and cultural expressions of that. Now, terracotta art. Terracotta art was also existent during the Mauryan times. Terracotta art thrived with urban expansion, showcasing a variety of themes, styles, and significances. So, with the urban expansion, terracotta art also expanded, and there was more variety in theme, style, and significances. Includes depictions of male and female figurines, animals, carts, indicating a broad scope of everyday life and mythological interpretation. So they were used for numerous purposes in everyday life, and they may have some kind of mythological interpretations also. Some terracottas may represent religious icons evident in their contextual findings during excavations. So during excavations, some of the terracottas have been found in the context of religious icons, so it may have some kind of religious significance also. Not all terracottas had clear religious significance. Their role could also be ornamental or utilitarian. The stratified context in which these terracottas were found add value to their study, providing insights into societal structures of the Mauryan period. Now we will go through a summary of the entire presentation. The Mauryan period marked a significant evolution in Indian art architecture, spurred by political stability and cultural exchanges during Ashok's reign. The era witnessed the development of various art forms, including monumental stone sculptures, intricately carved pillars, and terracotta figurines, each linked to socio political and religious fabric of the time. Significant advancements were made in the construction techniques, evidenced by detailed work in stone and wood, including fortifications, palatial structures, and urban planning. Art and architecture in the Mauryan period were heavily laden with symbols from religious motifs on pillars to intricate carvings depicting various deities and mythological scenes. Mauryan art was notably influenced by Persian and Greek cultures, as seen in design of pillars and adaptation of scripts like Kharoshthi, reflecting the dynamic interplay of cultural interactions. The patronage of Mauryan kings, particularly Ashok, was crucial in fostering the arts, as evidenced by proliferation of stupa constructions and the spread of Buddhist architectural forms across the empire. The artistic and architectural contributions of Mauryan period laid the foundational aspects for subsequent Indian civilization. Now, we have discussed about Mauryan sculpture, architecture, and art in detail. We have covered topics like pillars, capitals in the pillars, influences of foreign art forms. We have also discussed the construction of stupas during Mauryan times. Along with that, we have studied the first existence of rock cut caves, which were a residing place for Buddhist monks. We have also discussed the wooden pillars, terracotta art, yakshas, yakshinis, ring stones, and different other features related to Mauryan art. So that should provide you a comprehensive analysis of the Mauryan period art and sculpture and architecture in general. It will help you in different kind of competitive exams, and also if you are pursuing history graduation or masters. So please support me so that I can bring brighter and detailed contents in future. Thank you so much for your love and support.